Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter, and today we're going to make some really fun cards. These are great because you get to use up supplies you already have, and you can do this with whatever theme you want. I decided to use bright rainbow colors and make some cards for kids, and this is a great way to use up some of that cardstock that you might have in your stash. Maybe you had it from back when you scrapbooked and it was thinner than what you want for card making. Rather than throwing that lower quality cardstock out, use them for this technique because you're not going to notice that this cardstock is thinner. This video is brought to you by Rubber Stamp Tapestry. You can find the stamps that I'm using from pegstamps.com. I'll link them all up in the video description so you can find them easily. So what I'm going to be using here is a die cutting machine, but if you want to use a stencil or if you have an old colozzle or whatever you have to just cut shapes with is fine. Even printing off some stars using cookie cutters or whatever to get you this graduated size, it's all you need. So you know, you could go into Microsoft Word and print off a sheet with a bunch of different star sizes on it, and that would work just as well. This is going to be a little easier because, you know, the machine can do the work for us. And yes, I have the oldest ever Big Shot machine. So people are probably like, ooh, is that a new model? No, this is like the 2005 model. It's still going strong, so I'm still using it. I'm also going to use the magnetic plate just because that's going to keep my dies from moving. If you don't have that and you want to use a little bit of washi tape to stick your dies to your paper, that's a great idea. So you don't need to go out and buy that just to keep your dies from moving. The one thing with these plates is you have to have a pretty flat cutting pad, so kind of keep that in mind. If it doesn't make a good connection, the magnets aren't going to hold the die in place. And we're also going to need some cardstock, and what I'm doing for this card, this is 5.5 by 5.5, so you want to go ahead and cut every piece of cardstock to that size. We will take the leftovers from that card and make this card, so I really like it because it's waste free. Even though you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, Lindsay, I'm using up so much cardstock, you're really not wasting anything. And I'm using it was a less expensive kind of bulk pack cardstock that's not heavy enough for card bases that I had so much of, I realized when I was cleaning my craft room, so I decided this would be a great way to use some of it up. So what you want to do is kind of look at your cardstock and have it in the order that you want to cut. And I decided to go rainbow order with mine. You could do like ombre, a gradation of different colors. You could even do it all like white and then maybe ink the cardstock after you've cut it. It's completely up to you. You should really be creative and make this suit the supplies that you have. So I've cut these all to roughly the same size. If I have one that's a little bit off, I can trim it after I've got everything adhered together. So don't worry about that. I'm going to start off with red. And I'm going to start off with my largest star. So I'm putting my cardstock down and I grab my star die here, and I just want to center it up. Okay, and then this is simple because I'm just going to cut this through. I want to make sure I have room on the bottom to overlap my sentiment. So if I'm going to have it adjusted, I will have it just slightly high, but it's pretty much centered. So as long as it's pretty well in the center, you're going to be good. All right. So now what I want to do is grab my next color. I'm going to pop this out and I'm going to save that for my other card. I'm going to put my next color down on my pad there. And then I am going to lay down this on top. Okay, I want to get it centered up. Now I do have this piece is a little bit longer, so I think what I'm actually going to do, I think I will just trim a sliver of that off right now while I have it here. I'm gonna use my little paper trimmer for that. There we go. Okay, so you kind of nestle those together, and then you're going to take your next size die and you're going to center that in. Okay, so make sure that it's right where you want it. The magnet should hold that die in place. If not, grab a little piece of washi tape, and I just want to lift that off without disrupting where that is. And I do not know if those magnetic plates work with every die cut machine. I know they work with all of the Sizzix, Big Shots, and Big Kicks, but I don't know about the other ones. Okay, you want to pop out that star, set it with the other one, and then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to grab our next paper, which is our yellow. We're going to set our orange on top. Actually, kind of just make sure they're together really well, and grab the next size star and just center that up. Remember, a little piece of tape if you don't have a magnetic platform. And then we're going to crank that through. You just want to remember to lift up that other piece of paper, because if you don't, you try to send it through with the paper, it might keep it from cutting through. Alright, so now we're going to put our layers together. And as long as you look and you see that you've got like kind of the rounded over edges on top, it should be pretty easy to line them up. That one. Oh yeah, it's working pretty good. Alright. So then on this card, I actually had some like other little reveals where I cut out some stars. So I'm going to show you how I did that. So basically, you're going to be cutting through several different layers. If you want to have like, say I want, if I want the orange to show through the star, I would just cut through one layer. And then the orange would show through. I just cut through the red. But if I want the yellow to show through, then I want to cut through 2 layers. So that's kind of, I think I had like a big yellow star there. So I'm basically working with the 2 smallest ones from the set, because that's pretty much what's going to fit here. So I could put that there. And figure out exactly where I want it. And then when I'm doing this, I generally do have to cut through a couple times to get it to go through both of the layers. And sometimes I'll cut through one and then I'll remove that top layer, reposition the die, and cut through again, especially if I'm trying to go through more than 2 layers. So let's see, those cut through, those cut through. Save these because you can use these for embellishments. Alright, and the other ones I'll probably just do with the little ones. So I can take that and do like a little yellow star. The star, I'm cutting through 3 layers, so this will show the green through. And this one I probably will have to go through a couple layers. Oh, maybe not. Oh, I think it might have cut through. Didn't quite cut through that bottom one, so I'm just going to realign my die. And if you don't, and actually if this shifts a little bit, it will look kind of cool because you'll get to see shadows of different colors in there. So again, don't worry if it's not absolutely perfect. And then any of these little bits you cut out, you can layer on top and have even more colors showing. So it's really just up to what you want to do. So if I want to have a blue one showing through, then I'd have to cut through all 4 layers here. And I think I don't really have room for a big one of that, just another little one. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that little die, do that one right over here, I think. Just make sure you've got everything lined up, because really, and at this point the magnet's really not gonna hold that much because you got so much cardstock in there. So there are limitations to this platform, whereas tape is going to hold your die wherever you are. Okay, so I'm going to go back and forth a couple times here. Oh my, that's really difficult to cut. I think I'll just cut through once. Holy moly! That's a lot of paper to get through. Okay, I'm going to do this in a couple batches. So I'm going to take that one off because I've cut through those 2 layers. And then I'll cut through, I can easily position it because I've got that nice groove. You can almost twist it. You can feel that it's caught in those grooves. This is probably the most boring thing you've ever watched on YouTube. And there we go. Got those cut out. Okay, so on the first card that I showed you, I actually used some like thin foam tape to adhere all my layers, so it did give me a little bit of dimension. I also want to mention that you could do this with like fun foam if you wanted to cut all your layers with fun foam. That would give you some dimension as well. I figured it's a square card, so it's going to require extra postage anyway, so you might as well have a little extra, like a little extra thickness to it as well, because you're going to pay extra anyway. And I think when you're paying extra for that size, I don't think any additional thickness, you know, I think it's going to be an extra 12 or 17 cents or something either way. But for this one, I think I'll just use regular double-sided tape just so that you can see that it looks great that way as well. Okay, so then, and then you can see the difference and you can decide whether you want to go ahead and put that extra layer, extra work or not. So here's the thing, you've got this lined up, right? You don't want to, now this is how you keep it from getting mixed up in your layers. You want to flip the whole thing over. And then you want to put your bottom piece right side up. I'm just going to move that out of the way. Then grab your adhesive, and you want to put your adhesive on your next layer. And if you get any inside the holes like I did there, just use like use something to pull that adhesive out of the way. And then, so I'm just flipping it over like this. And I actually think it's better if you can kind of like stack them like that. It just helps line them up. So there we've got our bottom layer. We're going to do this on every single layer and build up our card. You really only need to get the edges, but if you're doing foam tape, you've got to put the foam tape pretty much everywhere. You've got to make sure that you have all of those all parts of the layer supported. It gets a little bit easier when you have a few different points to line it up with. So like when I get to the top layers, I don't feel like I need to you know, pick it up and fix them together, like line them up together, because I can see by all the different registration points I kind of have. There we go. Now at this point, if there's anything that you want to trim, like I've got a little bit of creep there, I can go ahead. I don't know if this one will do it because this is kind of not my heavy duty one, but my other guillotine, if this one doesn't do it, my other guillotine will, and I can trim off any little yeah, I don't know if this one's gonna cut it, but I could go on my heavy duty paper cutter and trim off any like page creep that I might have, but I think that's all right. And then I could fill in over here with some of my other stars. So now I've got a piece of cardstock. This is 5.5 by 5.5, just about. And I'm just going to do adhesive on the back of this stack here. And this is actually better with the cheaper cardstocks because it's not going to really add that much weight to your card, but it will be substantial whereas those cardstocks on their own are really flimsy. Alright, now I can take any of these stars that I cut out from my from making the card, and I can put them here and there, any place I feel like I need a little bit of a little bit more color or something. So that's kind of fun. Just don't use any of the ones that you had originally used for you know, that we originally cut out of the centers, because those are going to go on our other card. And then these you can stick down with either glue or double-sided tape or whatever you have. And I'm just going to use a little bit of glue for that. And you know, you probably have other scraps left over from trimming your paper down. If you feel like you want a blue one and you want to just go ahead and cut an extra blue star, go ahead and do that. It's your card. Do whatever you feel like. Okay, I'm going to set this aside to dry and we'll prepare the other card. I've got just a regular A2 size card base here ready to go. And I am simply going to use my dry adhesive to glue down these stars. So I put them here right side up, meaning the die was on top of the paper, so it's got a little rounded over edge. So I'm going to flip that over. And I am just going to do all of my adhesive and just glue them down so it's raised up on the card. I want it towards the top here. And just repeat that for every shape that you have. There we go. Now on this card, I stamped on the inside of the card and I sponged ink on the inside of the card and I cut around the edge of that. I'm not sure if I really loved that that idea, so for this one I'm just going to keep it kind of plain. And I'm just going to grab my little pad of paper to stamp on because it just makes it easier. And I've got my inks right over here. So what I'm going to move this over like this so it's easier for you to see. And what I'm going to do first is take black and my sentiment, which is Celebrate, and this is from one of the unmounted sentiment stamp sets from Rubber Stamp Tapestry, and I will link that in the video description. Alright, I've got a really great impression there. And then what I'm going to do is actually kind of build like some rainbow colors around it. I'm going to start, and I'm actually going to go ahead and remove all of my lids from my ink pads. I'm going to start with yellow because I like to start, if I'm doing something where I need colors to kind of like evenly fill an area, I'm going to start with my middle color, which is yellow. And this is from Near the Reef. I just went and I took some like basic kind of like generic shapes from my peg stamp sets, and I decided to use them as design elements. So that kind of like square patchy it almost looks like a patchwork piece from Near the Reef is what I'm using. Then this is from Twinkle Twinkle, and this is a little like pretty just kind of like mandala type circle design. And then I'm going to do this birthday present from Gingerbread Wreath. And actually there's a really nice birthday set that I'll link up as well, because you could probably get all the elements that you would want for like a birthday thing in that set versus having all of these different ones if that's what you're into. I'm actually going to wash this off because I'm going to use this one with the red ink in a minute because it's a present and I want this to be kind of like a birthday card, because that's why I used Celebrate. And this one's from Twinkle Twinkle, I think, as well, but I didn't write it down there. So I'll make sure I link the right thing up if I did mention the wrong thing. And then I'm going to go in with this little red present here. There, maybe one more. Okay, so that's how we did that. It's very clean and simple, but it's great for when you want a birthday card. So if you want to give it an edged, if you want to do like the edge treatment like I did here, just take your scissors and just kind of cut in and around the star, and then you would stamp just like that on the edge of your inside of your card, and then just smudge it with some ink blending tools. So there's the idea with the leftovers, because I love to get an extra card out of my efforts because we always need a lot of cards. So for this, what we're going to do is actually use another piece of paper, and this is just an offcut, just like a strip, and we are going to stamp a sentiment that we're going to adhere onto our card. So let's go ahead and do that right now. I got a fingerprint on there, but I don't think it will show once we get all of our inking done. Again, I'm going to start with the word Celebrate and black ink. And I'm just gonna stamp it kind of in the middle. I'm gonna be trimming it down, but I just want to get it in there, kind of in the center. Okay, now we're gonna do some stamping, and we're gonna do the exact same thing that we did on the other card. We're gonna start in the middle with our yellow. We're gonna stamp our little, it almost looks like Swiss cheese. Let's call it Swiss cheese on there. It's fun. And then we'll go next door and do our green. Doesn't matter if you want to work the other way. I just like to, I think because I'm right-handed, I like to work towards the right. We will be trimming this a little bit, so I just want to make sure I go kind of beyond where I want to notch the ends. Then I'm going to go with my orange. I'm going to work back this way. This is also, if I'm like placing stickers on like a scrapbook page, that's what I do. I put my middle sticker and then I work my way out. So if you're ever doing titles or trying to glue down die cut letters, that's a great way to do it. Now I've got to clean off the little, my little birthday present there because I know I want to put it over here. I'll stamp a little extra just in case I want to pull it out more. And now I think I'll notch it before I ink it. So I'm gonna go just like that, just a little V notch. I can cut it more if I need to. We'll see how that looks before I do any inking. Get a regular card here to see what that's gonna look like. Oh, I think that's a good size. Did you see that? Sometimes I forget. I'll be like, I wonder if that was in frame. All right, so again, I actually like to start inking in the middle. I had to replace my yellow dauber because it got contaminated. It got up against another one and got kind of icky looking. And with yellow, I will actually bring that out to the surrounding colors a little bit. And if I'm, a lot of times I will go in without adding any extra ink on the dauber, because a lot of times, especially if I've just done another card, I've got enough ink on there already, and that way I won't get any really harsh marks. Same here with the blue. I'm not the best at sponge blending, I'll tell you that right now. I'm much better with a color duster, but I find that like this is just a little quicker. I get more ink down real quick. I do find that starting on like the paper and pulling it towards the center or pushing it towards the center gives me a better effect. There we go. Now something else that I like doing on this is and I did it on this card and I'll show you, I don't know if it really stands out very much, but I did a little bit of glitter pen. I just traced the line in glitter pen. I don't know if it really shows up on camera, but this is just these Stardust Jelly Roll pens. They're clear and they've got like a gold ink, and what you want to do is just go, you don't have to go too slow, but you just want to make sure that you're not going so fast that the ink doesn't come. You want to go slow enough that you leave a nice trail. And I'm actually kind of connecting my letters here because they are broken in spots. So I'm kind of writing it as if just like a normal person writing cursive would. And make sure you have contact with the ball and the paper. Don't angle the pen too much. And then just for a very fine line to help divide it from the card when we adhere it, I'm just going to do a very, very narrow inking here, and you do that, and this is so easy to do with these little mini ink pads that I love. You just barely angle that ink pad at all. You just want to angle it enough so it's going to get a little, almost like just an outline. Okay, so it's not a messy one, it's just an outline. Now let's set this stuff out of the way and put this on our card. And for that, I am simply going to use a little bit of foam tape. I've got this really big roll this is really thin foam tape. So it's thinner than the stuff you'd get at the hardware store, which is nice if you're trying to keep postage costs down, or if you're doing like a lot of layers like I did on this one. That's the foam tape I used on this. You can kind of see on the edges, but it just gives you a very subtle dimension. It's nice, I think. It's just a little bit less in your face than the regular foam tape. And that's going to go right there. And there you have it. Now let's look at these side by side, because I do think that having the foam tape does give you a little impact, because just having that little bit more elevation just almost makes it look like every layer is kind of outlined where this is more flat. But I think they're both really cute, and I'm glad to have these on hand, because anytime you need a birthday card last minute for a child or a teenager, it's just great to have something that you can grab. And again, I'm going to show you these two side by side. This is the one with a cutout where I just, inked on the inside just to give it kind of a little playful touch. And this is just the more clean and simple plain one. I think they're both cute, and I love that you get 2 cards when you do this endeavor. So it uses your time wisely and uses your supplies wisely. You could decorate the insides of your cards with any of these leftover cutouts if you want to. A lot of times I like to take a piece of cardstock, like maybe one of the scraps from these cards when we trim down our cardstock, because when you're trimming something down to get a 5x5 square, you're gonna have a strip of cardstock. You can make a little pocket for the inside of your cards to put a gift card or money in there. That's basically what I do for teenagers now, and even well, mostly teenagers, because I just don't know what to buy and I don't want to add clutter to anybody's lives. But that's a great way to use up even those extra little scraps that you have left over. And if you have a bunch of the inexpensive kind of lower quality cardstock that you want to use up, this is a perfect project for that. If you enjoyed this project, I would love it if you gave this video a thumbs up and shared it with your crafty friends. If you're looking for any of the stamps or inks that I used, I will link them to our sponsor, Rubber Stamp Tapestry. You can find them at pegstamps.com. Make sure you check the video description for a coupon code so you can save a little money on your purchase. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, happy crafting!